Hey class, my name is Katrina Berg and I'm your instructor for organizational behavior. I wanted to create a quick video for you this week to highlight some key points from your chapters that you're reading and topics that you'll be covering. So, first and foremost, let's introduce organizational behavior to you. What is it? What is your understanding of it? Organizational behavior, simply put, is a study of the way that people act within groups. Managers that work in organizations will look at this in order to provide the most effective workplace possible for both the employee and the organization. So, managers' responsibility is essentially to lead, to control, to organize. And in that process, they need to be able to look at how groups are working with the organization, how individuals are working with the organization, what things are impacting the groups and the individuals. A manager's role in an organization is also to look at the interpersonal. That's how everyone's getting along, the informational, and also decisional. So the manager's making decisions, disseminating information, and also working within the groups of an organization. To take a step back, let's look at two other fields of study that influence organizational behavior. You're looking at psychology and anthropology. So, psychology is a study of the mind. So, it's really looking at mental characteristics and thoughts. Whereas anthropology is looking at the study of human society and culture. If you think about the term organizational behavior, which I'm sure you've heard of in other courses throughout your program of study, it really is looking at that culture of that organization. So these things also influence organizational behavior. Keep that in the back of your mind as you go throughout the course. So interpersonal skills, do they matter? If a manager has technical skills, do they also need to be able to work with their team, talk to different personalities, influence different groups as leaders? Of course they do. So it needs to be both for managerial. As we're talking about some of the challenges and opportunities in organizational behavior, you're looking at challenges such as the economy, what's happening with that for the business and for the individual. Things might be tight at home, or if it's a really good economic year, season, then you might be thinking about a raise potentially for the employee, or the employee is expecting a raise. Globalization, workforce diversity, customer service. Today's customer requires more service than ever. People, networking, the well being of the individual. You're looking at the work environment and also ethics, how they can influence the workplace. When you're looking at analysis of organizational behavior from a very broad stroke, I just want to highlight input, analysis, and outcome. So, what is going in, what is being processed, and what the result action is. So, organizational behavior is talking about, I just want to highlight these key points. You're looking at the motivation of employees, you're looking at leadership, interpersonal skills, communication, groups, attitude, perception, change. How is change handled? Conflict, how is that managed? And work design. So, going through your books as you break each of these down and gain a greater understanding, let me know if you have any questions. Moving on to chapter 2, I want to talk about diversity. Diversity can influence, or diversity itself influences such things as age, race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and disability. Stereotypes often come from a generalized view of groups. When those stereotypes are applied to the individual, that is when discrimination can happen. So we need to be aware of this. We need to take an active role as managers, as organizations, to make sure that we train for recognition of this, and also how to handle such potential issues and problems. So workplace diversity, requires that you potentially can increase your pool of candidates by looking at a wide scope and being open. But when you're looking at a wide scope of individuals and personalities and needs, essentially, you can also have miscommunication happen in the workplace. So, this is again a challenge to be aware of and something to work towards as a manager, as an organization. Let's talk about intellectual and physical abilities. Intellectual ability, of course, is your ability to mentally perform a task. Um, this is reasoning, thinking, and problem solving. So, again, intellectual ability is your ability to think, reason, and problem solve. Physical ability is your ability to complete physical tasks. Your book gives you more information about this, but I just want you to be aware of those two differences and how they are part of the workplace. Um, Effective diversity management, you're looking at, as I mentioned before, being sensitive and aware of what diversity means and what discrimination can be. You're looking at groups, you're looking at ensuring there is diversity, and you're looking at ensuring that there are effective programs in place um, for the staff and for the organizational structure itself. Let's talk about attitude and job satisfaction. So, job satisfaction is really looking about if you're happy with what you're doing. There's a lot that can impact this. It can include work, the work itself that you're doing, the pay, your ability to be promoted, supervision, who's supervising you, do you get along with them? What's your own personal style of supervision preference, to be left alone or to have someone more hands-on work with you. Coworkers, who's working with you? Who do you interact with daily? Is it a good relationship? Is it not a good relationship? And then the overall component of those can all impact your job satisfaction. When we're looking at attitude, an attitude really is an evaluative statement or judgment concerning objects, people, or events. So, when this is taking place in the workplace, you're looking at three specific areas, one being cognitive, two being affective, and three being behavioral. There's more in your books about this, but again, I just want to mention that attitude and the three components of that. Attitude links to behaviors, and there's some studies that say behaviors come before attitudes and how those can influence each other. Just understand and be aware there's a relationship there. Your book has more. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask me about that. There are 4 employee responses to job dissatisfaction. Those include exit, voice, loyalty, and neglect. So, someone is unhappy, they are likely to leave the company. Um, Someone that has a voice will perhaps say something or try to improve what's happening within the company. Loyalty is sort of, I'm going to stick with the company and see if things change. And neglect is where the job performance goes downhill based on that job satisfaction. Maybe they're not paying as much attention as they should for what they're doing. So, those are your highlights for the week, class. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for listening.